How are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed, a little overwhelmed, maybe even a little burned out? This can happen. The news is crazy. Social media is wonderful on the one hand and can drive you out of your mind on the other. I found something that can put a little calm back in your life. Interested? It's called a dopamine menu. And if you stick around, I have something special for dessert. Oh, and it's not food. It's as generational healers, we're doing some very heavy spiritual work. You carry very heavy emotional baggage sometimes, and it can take its toll, especially in families. Sometimes it's not the most popular thing to do, and you can feel scapegoated. You can feel uh, that people don't get it. All of that is okay when you know that you are spiritually on the right track. But everyone needs self care. Everyone needs to take good care of themselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually. A dopamine menu is something that makes that a little bit more organized, and it can make it more fun too. And today, I think we could all use more fun in our lives, as well as more spiritual and physical self care. Let's explore what a dopamine menu really comes down to. It has certain components to it that are like a restaurant menu or even a takeout menu. So let's see what we can take out from our dopamine menu. Where do we begin with our menu? Well, we'll begin where we usually begin, with the appetizers or the starters. And these are quick bites, something that will get you started, get you warmed up for the rest of the experience. Now, this experience is self care. So, what is something that you could do that won't take much time, but will allow you to just relax? Take your mind off the things that might be disturbing you. One of the things you can do is just breathe. Deep breaths are very healing, they're very grounding. So if you can take the time, even 5 minutes, just to take some deep breaths and sit and not think about all the things that are buzzing through your mind. And take those 5 minutes, even close your eyes and just breathe in, breathe out. We've all done it, and it works. Another thing you can do is light a candle. It could be a scented candle or not, but just the act of lighting that candle focuses you on the candle, on the flame, and if it has an aroma, it might bring you back to a comfortable place, to a good place. And even if you don't have the time to sit for the whole candle, you could take 5 or 10 minutes and just relax. Try to empty your mind. Even 5 minutes helps. Another thing you can do is step outside, even if it's just for 5 minutes, just to feel the sun on your face, just to get away from the routine, from what you were doing that made you feel stressed. Now, you might not be able to escape that for a long term, but 5 minutes, I think you could take a break. And if you're a night owl, hello, I am. Go out, look at the stars, look at the moon. It really does change your perspective. And that is a good start on our dopamine menu. So give it a try. I mean, we all breathe, right? Now we come to the main course. This is a more substantial activity. This is a little bit more Self care, when you have the time to dedicate that block of time to your well being, whether it's your spiritual or your physical well being and your emotional well being. It's all part of the same human being. So, this is the time to think about what you might do if you have that block of time and you want to unwind and relax. This is very personal. This is something that you customize for yourself. Anything that I suggest here is just to get the ball rolling. I really want you to pick something that means something to you, that really helps you de stress, because these are stressful times. And we owe it to ourselves to be the best possible person, spiritual being we can be. That gives us strength. It gives us inner strength and it gives us that spiritual lift. And I know I've been struggling a bit. And once I decided that I would do these exercises, I would make my little dopamine menu. It really was something out of the box for me. I think that was the key. It was just a different take on things that we already know, that we probably already do. But this made it fun, and I enjoyed the process. So think about it. It might work for you. And I'll give you examples and we'll go over it. If you have suggestions, I would love to hear them because I like to find out new takes on things. It makes life so much more interesting. So we'll get started on our main courses and feel free to add all the flavor that you want, things you love to taste in your life. These are some suggestions for your main course, which is for deep nourishment. These are geared for those of us who are into ancestral generational healing. But even if you're not, consider some of these experiences because it opens your horizons. And of course, do your own take on all of this. Uh, this is really cool. Well, one of the things you can do is dedicate an hour to researching your family history, but focus on a particular story if you can. If you get a chance to talk to your older relatives about experiences and about family members, you will find a wealth of information. And be sure to talk to them before they leave the planet, because once that information is gone, it's very hard to retrieve the real information. You'll get variations on a theme talking to different relatives, no doubt, no doubt. And that really is an interesting thing to do too. But we can get into some deep stuff there. I'm not going there right now. We're going to keep this light. But do talk to your relatives, talk to the older people in your family, and you will find a wealth of information. And you'll probably find stories about your parents, maybe even your siblings. But when you find stories about your parents when they were little kids, like I remember my Aunt Emma telling me a story about my dad blowing up the toilet in the house doing a chemistry experiment. Yeah, so things like that. I mean, you won't hear about it unless you talk to them. So one thing to consider. Another thing, you could write a letter to an ancestor or even to your younger self. You could express gratitude or forgiveness. And this is something that takes some pondering and something you have to be ready to do. This is less stress. If that's going to be stressful for you, save it for another day. But if you think it can release some tension, some things that you wanted to say, go for it. give yourself permission to take the time and write that letter. Another thing, well, if you know me, you know I am so into dreams. I interpret dreams, I talk about dreams, I write my dreams down in a dream journal. So, one of the things you could do is paint a dream. I've done this numerous times and it is fascinating. And if you do dream about an ancestor, most of the time it's not a direct dream. They usually leave you clues, or the dream is a very dreamy dream. So you don't have to make a masterpiece. You could even just do a little doodle, write a little something, sketch it, anything that works for you. But that, for me, that would be fun. You could draw a family tree, and it doesn't have to be precise, exact, technically a gorgeous picture of a family tree. Sketch it out. Put down the information that you have. Put it in your journal, put it in your genealogy books if you're keeping them. And you could even keep it in your dream journal, whatever's handy for you. But do the sketch, make a picture. It could be fun. And once you start, you'll find your imagination can take over too. And that's always inspirational. Another thing you can do is create a vision board. Now, those are really interesting. I've done them in the past, and then I found my old vision boards, and I was shocked at the things that have come into fruition, even when I haven't been totally focusing on it, which I guess is the point of a vision board. But what I'm saying is, what you put out to the universe definitely can manifest. So, yeah, tread lightly there. And, well, this is right up my alley. Here I am around New Orleans, and but I've always been like this. Even when I lived in New York, you can go for a walk in a family cemetery. This used to be a common practice in the 1800s, and that's why some of the cemeteries you see today are so lavish. Families would go for walks in the cemetery. They would actually picnic in cemeteries. And that's why some of them are so beautiful and landscaped so really magnificently. And it was a family occasion. Now, today, we don't do that as much as they did. I guess social media's taken over from cemeteries, but it would be an interesting experience to go for a walk and look at all the people who've gone before us. It gives you a very different perspective on life. So get your main courses going and give yourself plenty of time to enjoy them. This is something you shouldn't rush. If you have the time to do it, you should really take the time and give yourself that gift. Give yourself that main course. Next on the menu are the sides. Now, the sides add a little more flavor to our menu, to the main course. You have your sides usually with your main course, and they enhance the experience. So, what are the sides? What would you want to have to enhance your experience? Well, it depends on what you're doing, obviously. And we're going to take a look at some suggestions for things that you might want to do in tandem with your entree, with your main, or sometimes you're just in the mood to have a bunch of sides rather than a main course. So you have a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I know we have tapas in Spain, little bits of delicious food that you have served on plates. And you can have a taste of this, a taste of that. It's like an antipasta or kind of like dim sum. Every nationality has it because it's so delicious and it's so yummy. And it's so nice to have that break, that variety, that time when you can just take a little relaxation and just take your time and nibble at things. So, we're going to nibble at self care by taking care of our sides. And everybody will have their own take on it. And that is what makes it so much fun. So, we're going to check out the sides. Sides. There are so many different things that you can do to enhance your experience. One of the things you can do is make sure you're in a comfortable place. And while you're having your main course, your entree, you could sip on some tea or coffee, hot chocolate, water, whatever kind of floats your boat. But do it mindfully. Don't gulp it. Relax. Enjoy it. Savor it. That's the point of sides. It gives you a little variety, but time to savor things. Once you start doing that, you appreciate the little nuances and it takes you away from the stress, from all of the chaos that can exist in anybody's world. The next thing is grounding yourself. I have some guided meditation playlists on the site somewhere, and they really have a variety of different types of guided meditations. Sometimes you just want to meditate on your own without any music, without any voices, without anybody leading you. Mindfulness, meditation, those are things that you can do. A guided meditation is nice. Some of them can be long, but many of them are 3 to 5 minutes. And that's a nice little side. Those are things that you can think about and you can add to enhance your experience. Another thing you can do is listen. Listen to a playlist. Get a playlist of songs that make you feel good. You can get a list of songs that remind you of family and family occasions. I know I can think of some crazy birthday parties, and the playlists were awesome. And every time I hear certain songs, I think about the people at those gatherings. And as much as family can be part of the stress, they're part of the love. It's part of why you're doing what you're doing. So, listening to a playlist is one thing. You could also listen to a playlist of music from your culture. I remember when I was little, my dad would sing certain songs in Spanish, and we learned them phonetically when we were kids until we actually started to learn the language. And when I hear those songs, of course I think of my dad, and it really warms my heart. There are many things that you can do to make yourself comfortable while you are enjoying your dopamine menu. The sides should enhance your experience. So, what's next on our dopamine menu? Dessert. When I go out and look at a menu, 9 out of 10 times, the first thing I'll look at is dessert. I love something sweet, and the dessert always feels like a reward. It brings me joy, and that's what your desserts should do on your dopamine menu. They should be something a little extra, something that lifts you up and makes you feel very, very good. Short and sweet, yeah, that it can be. So let's go check out a few ideas for dessert on your dopamine menu. Desserts. Oh, yeah. This is, well, it might be my favorite. One idea is to have a real dessert, something that connects you to your heritage. I love cannolis, and I recently found out that I have Italian heritage. Long story for another day. But that explains why I love cannolis. Well, not really. I mean, what's not to love? I also enjoy Moroccan food, and there is a DNA connection to that too that I didn't know about. So it's funny how things manifest. If you have a favorite family tradition dessert, enjoy and appreciate where it came from. Now, another idea is to watch a movie or to read something that inspires your healing journey. There's so much out there. There are movies, there are documentaries, even series. You could decide to watch a series and maybe take a week or 2 weeks to watch something every night that connects you to your ancestry, to your heritage, to your family roots. It's very rewarding. And once you get into it, it's habit forming. Well, desserts are habit forming for me too. Another idea is to take a nice, luxurious bath. Listen to some music. You could set the whole atmosphere. Of course, if you have a pet, I know I have a cat, and if I dare to take a nice, relaxing bath, I always have company with somebody peeking over the edge of the tub. And I did have a cat who used to try to get into the tub, the exception to the rule. Some cats do like water. She was a weirdo, and I loved her dearly. But if you find that relaxing, which I do, give it an idea, give it a shot. I mean, we love our pets, and they could be part of your heritage too. It's fascinating when you start to delve into things, how much dessert you find satisfying. Enjoy. Now we have our specials. What are specials on a dopamine menu? Well, a special would be an item that you don't see all the time, but it's featured. And it's something that might take a little bit more time to prepare, it might take you a little extra time to enjoy. And we're going to check out some ideas for specials. I'm hoping your creativity is percolating and you'll suggest a few more ideas too, because specials, well, they'll take you places where you haven't been before if you keep your mind open. Now for our specials. They can be a special of the day, or they can be special for an extended period of time. What? This is what I'm talking about. You can take a day trip. You can take a day trip to a museum. Well, what kind of museum? There are many museums that you can find that specialize in crafts and in techniques, in textiles. These can all relate to your ancestry, and it can really be a fascinating experience. It's fun if you can go with a family member or a friend, but even if you go on your own and just explore, it opens up a different world for you, and you find things out about your ancestors and the kind of lives that they were leading, and may have a newfound respect for what they did to get you here. You can host a storytelling circle. I love this idea. People can share stories about their ancestral history. And it's great if you can have different generations in the circle telling stories. Now, you might want to have a talking stick so that there's a time whoever is holding the stick gets to tell the story and everybody respects that person's time because some people are a little faster at storytelling than others, but they're worth the wait, especially when it's somebody who's had a secret and feels comfortable about telling a story about that. It opens a lot of doors. Now, you can also splurge on something if you're really feeling into your specials, and you could get a family portrait. It could be a photograph, or you could have a commissioned portrait done. And even though that's could be on the pricey side, you'd be surprised at what you can find. You can have student artists do some work for you, and they would be happy to do a commission, and the prices are more reasonable than you might expect. And a family portrait could be done any style you like. It could be a formal oil painting, it can be a more contemporary painting, or it could be a sketch or a drawing of your family. Or you could even have a drawing done of a home that still exists or one that existed in the past, and you have some pictures. And they also make really beautiful family gifts if you're thinking about that too. There's lots of things you can do for your specials as long as it's special to you. It should make you feel good, and it could be something that could last for your lifetime and maybe even lifetimes to come. What do you think about your dopamine menu? You can start your day with a starter like lighting a candle and finish it with dessert. A little gratitude, just a phrase or two. You don't even need to write it down. You can say it to yourself. That's a great thing about customizing this. It's all about taking care of yourself. Just another creative idea for you. Remember, your menu's flexible and it's personal and it's made to match you and things that are important to you in your life, to lessen the stress and build up the spiritual strength. So, healing generational trauma is not easy, but it is like a feast. It takes time, it takes care, and it takes love. But when you're doing all of that, it's important to nurture yourself, take care of yourself, and make sure you're healthy too. I'd love to hear what's on your dopamine menu. You could share some of that down below. I have a template for you, and if you'd like it, a little dopamine menu template and maybe something about what we've done today, just write dopamine down below and I'll make sure that gets to you. The important thing is taking care of yourself in these crazy times. And most times are pretty crazy. So if you'd like a little bit more help, information, and just some ideas about taking care of yourself and generational healing, take a look over there or over there. I'm not sure where it is. And there's another video that will help you along the way. It's been a pleasure. And come on back. I think we can have some more enlightening conversations. All the best. Vicki Tran Show.